Welcome to part 2 of why tuition is so expensive in Canada. If you haven't watched part 1, you can watch it right here, but if you have, I'm just going to jump right in. This is Q&A, but Canadian. So part 1 was all about the fact that the government has reduced how much it spends on universities, and because universities don't have that money coming in, the only other option they have to raise the amount of money that they need to operate is through tuition. So basically, as government funding goes down, tuition goes up. But tuition has gone up a lot faster than government funding has been reduced. And the reason for that is because it costs way more money to run a university now than it did 20 years ago. You're probably thinking, what are the expenses a university has? Obviously, they're professors, and yeah, professors get paid a lot. But if you've been in university or you just got out of university, you know that half of your profs were not tenure. Most profs in universities today are on 4-month contracts. I know for me, a lot of profs that taught me had to apply for their job again come winter semester, even though they've been teaching these classes for years. Obviously, going to York with all of their strikes, you learn a lot about teacher compensation.
Yikes.
But I just think that it's very telling that you go to university to get a good job, but the profs teaching you don't even have job stability. It's just foreshadowing our future. Over the years, university has sort of been drilled into Canadian students that it's literally the next step after high school. So even though government funding has decreased, the fact that there's more students going to university and paying tuition sort of offsets that decrease. But even with the extra students, the cost of running a university has skyrocketed so fast that universities still need to raise tuition to cover their costs. So arguably, if you're giving less profs tenure and you're hiring more contract profs, then your cost for academic staff can't be the reason why tuition is so expensive. The reason tuition is so expensive is because of all of the non-academic staff. So universities are in a bit of an arms race. Well, not a bit, it's an arms race. So you have all of these students who have been told that they need to go to university, and then you have the government decreasing the funding that goes to universities. So universities know that they need to attract a certain amount of students to pay enough tuition to cover their costs. So universities need to make their campus a place that students want to come to. So outside of government funding, the main reason why tuition is so expensive is because of all of the services that universities offer outside of just the classroom. So you have student clubs, career advising, academic advising, sports teams, mental health services, exchange programs, landscaping, and building facilities that look new and futuristic. So all of these extra services on top of just the lectures need non-academic staff to run them. So the more services you offer to students to make your university more enticing, to make the students come, to pay tuition, to cover the university costs. So we're basically in a big circle where universities need students to come to the school and pay tuition to cover their operating costs. So they offer services that make a university more enticing for students to come to, but the services cost more money, and so the tuition has to go up to cover those services. It's just ridiculous. So now tuition is so expensive that students are like, oh my gosh, I can't even afford to go to university. And universities are like, whoa, hold up. We can't have students not coming to university. Let's offer them scholarships so that it's more affordable. But when government funding is decreasing, you have less money to offer scholarships. Do you see where I'm going with this? Universities are literally raising tuition to raise money for scholarships to give it to students to come to the school. Tuition is paying for scholarships because tuition is too expensive. The government really screwed universities when it decreased its funding for them, but one of the ways that it's helped universities is by allowing universities to charge international students whatever price they want. Going to a Toronto university, I saw a lot of international students, but what I didn't realize was that international students are actually a part of a federal plan for Canada's future. I'm gonna make another video about international student significance to the Canadian economy, but essentially the government wants Indian and Chinese students to come to Canada, develop really good relations with our country, and then either go back to their countries and start businesses with Canada in mind as a trading partner, or stay in Canada and open businesses here with India and China as a trading partner. Obviously, they're doing this because India and China are the next two big consumer markets. I mean, China's already there. So Canadian universities spend a lot of money advertising to students in other countries to come to Canada and do their degree here versus the US or Australia. And obviously with the election of Donald Trump, this has helped Canada's case a lot. The government puts caps on how much money a university can charge a student from the same province and a student from a different province, but there's no cap for how much a university can charge an international student. And oftentimes their tuition is 3 times as much as a student from the same province would pay. So a lot of Canadian universities have been working really hard to make themselves the destination for international students so that they can use that money to fund their operations. So if you really want to know why tuition is going up during COVID-19 when all of the classes are online, it's probably because universities anticipate that international students are not going to pay $25,000 to take a course online in their bedroom. And with less government funding, universities turn to international students to cover their costs. This revenue stream is not stable because of things like COVID-19, or if Canada's relations with that country's government sours, you can't rely on those students being able to come back to Canada to finish their degree. So let me know in the comment section what you think about this current funding model that we have for our universities. And don't forget that this video is actually a part of a series where I talk about all of the lies that millennials were told about how life would pan out once we go to university. So right now I still have a lot of videos to go through about tuition and student debt, so make sure you subscribe to get that notification for my next video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.